Welcome back to another episode of Local Search Tuesdays. This week, I've got another awesome presentation to share with you, this time from a conference in the UK. If you saw the episode from a few weeks ago, you know I was over in the UK presenting at a conference in Leicester. As always, I wanted to share the presentation here, especially since it's something I haven't talked about before. Obviously, it's a bit longer than usual, so kick back and enjoy.
This is Freddy Krueger's Guide to Scary Good Reporting. I'm Greg. I'm the Vice President of Search at SearchLab, but you know that because you're watching my video right now. Always remember to check our blog on a weekly basis to see each week's new episode of Local Search Tuesdays. But I'm lucky enough to get to speak at conferences all over the world. Here's a photo of me speaking at MozCon several years ago. And while I'm lucky to get to see so many different conferences all over the world, I'm unlucky in that sometimes some of the conference presenters aren't that engaging. They've got great information to share, but sometimes they're just a little tough to watch because they're not so great at public speaking. Typically, they're going to stand locked right behind the podium and not move the entire time. And even worse, their back's going to be to the crowd for a significant part of the presentation because they're reading their own slides. And even worse than that, typically the background is plain white with black Arial font, and each slide is packed with bullet points. And they're just reading bullet points. And because of that, I firmly believe that bullet points kill kittens, and today's presentation will be entirely kitten safe. And you saw the Freddy Krueger reference there at the beginning. I was a film major in college. I'm ridiculously obsessed with movies. I've got a full leg sleeve of Goonies tattoos. My right arm is completely sleeved up with movie portraits. My left arm is one session away from being done with movie portraits. So I always love to share my love of movies along with my love of talking about digital marketing. So there's always a theme, and today's theme is horror movies, and we've got 94 references to horror movies, including at least one movie for every year in the last 50 years. So if there's something obscure that you haven't seen before, don't worry. There is attribution over to the side, so not only will you learn some awesome stuff about giving better SEO reports, you're going to have a killer list of movies to watch later. And for those of you that are watching that may be a little freaked out by the horror theme, if you're not into horror movies, don't worry. The scariest thing that you're going to see today is some of the 80s fashion. So why the long face? Do you need a hand giving better SEO reports? Well, lucky for you, I've got a couple to spare. I don't want you to lose your head because you're freaked out about what you should or shouldn't show on your reports. Most of us bend over backwards to include way too much information, but today I'm going to show you what actually matters to have on your reports so you'll be able to have reports that rock your clients' faces off. And in fact, you're going to turn a lot of heads with your amazing reports. So let's get going and talk about your reports. I don't even have to see your reports. I know you all give reports on a regular basis, and I don't have to see them to know that your reports are stinking horrible. Everyone does bad reports. Everyone delivers bad reports. You're tracking the wrong metrics. You're overloading your clients with far too much information that they don't care about. And even worse, you're probably sharing pointless information that doesn't matter to your clients. The big problem with most people's reports is that you're not connecting anything to your clients' business goals. So today I'm going to show you how to create reports that are scary good. Get it? Because it's horror movies. Scary good. So let's think about the question, why do we create and deliver reports? There are really two primary reasons. Number one is job protection. We want to prove that we're worth that marketing dollar spend that the client is investing in the partnership. But also we deliver reports for understanding because clients don't usually know what to look at or how to see if their digital marketing is actually working or not. And the biggest problem with reporting today is a lot of us are delivering reports of just things that we're monitoring. And monitoring stuff is not reporting. Those dashboards that you've built for your own internal team, those are great for your team, but those aren't client reports. Just because we care about something doesn't mean that the client cares or that it's even important to the client. And you've got to remember that clients can log into analytics at any point in time. and see the data that's in Google Analytics. So your reports should provide additional value. They should provide interpretation of that data because clients have an unconscious bias towards digital marketing agencies. Everybody's either had a bad experience in the past or heard about a bad experience in the past where people have gotten screwed over by unscrupulous vendors or agencies. And so now, whether it's a direct or an indirect experience, they have kind of an unconscious mistrust of SEO. So if we know that clients don't care about the stuff that we're delivering and they have a potential to mistrust us regardless of what we're doing, why are we still delivering 30-page long reports that the clients don't care about and that don't get the clients excited? Why do we keep using these monthly reporting calls to simply read off a lot of meaningless numbers? And if you do these over Zoom, you see the client's eyes are just going to glaze over every time as soon as you start reading those numbers out because they can read that stuff for themselves in Google Analytics. There's no value. Remember, your client came to you with a problem because they thought that you would be the person to solve it. So if you're the solution to the problem, your report that you deliver to that client needs to reflect the solution that you're providing. The best SEO reports are simple reports that are easy for clients to understand. Look at how much data is in Google Analytics and Google Ads and Search Console and Google Business Profile Insights. There's so much data out there. Clients don't know what matters. So help your clients understand what's working and what's not. The best reports tell a story with the data. They don't just present numbers, they make sure that those numbers make sense. And presentation and layout of your report are incredibly vital to this. When was the last time you engaged a design person to look at your reports and make sure that your reports were visually appealing? Most of the time, reports are just built by SEOs, and most SEOs don't have a design background. But if we're looking at factors for success related to the reports that you deliver, the most important thing you need to know is what you should show in that client's report. At the most basic level, like I mentioned, you're the solution to the client's problem. So your report needs to speak to the solution that you're providing to that client. And it's incredibly important that you tie your report to the client's bottom line. The client didn't come to you to rank higher. The client didn't come to you for impressions. The client didn't come to you for click-throughs. The client didn't come to you for conversions. The client came to you with a problem that you're solving that will help that client sell more of what they're selling. So the bottom line is the ultimate win. You need to make it crystal clear that the things that you're doing are affecting that bottom line and resulting in more sales. We prove that by looking at organic traffic and leads. If SEO is winning, that means there is more organic traffic to the website, more organic leads, but in general, you should have more leads overall because the SEO work should result in more conversions throughout the site, regardless of the traffic source. You could literally deliver a single page report that only shows organic traffic and leads. This is the first page of our reports, and really it could be the only page of our reports. It shows total traffic and organic traffic, total conversions and organic conversions, and then breaks those conversions down through the three main conversion paths: calling, filling out a form, and using chat. But pretty often you are going to have clients that want more than that one page. They want more of an in-depth analysis because they have that understanding of these important metrics and these important goals that they may have. So why not do both? Why not deliver a simple sheet on the first page like I just showed for the owners, or for clients that don't really care about getting more data? They want to know, hey, are we winning? Is this tying to my bottom line? Am I getting more traffic? Am I getting more leads? Cool, that's all you need. But then you can include additional information on subsequent pages if you've got a client or your contact with that client's business wants more or needs more information. But even better, have you ever thought about customizing your report per client? Each client is different, and you don't do the same work from one client to another. So why would you deliver the same report from one client to another. Customize your report around each client's specific goals. Because, like I just said, we're not doing the same work, so why would we deliver the same report? And more traffic and more leads doesn't always mean that you're winning with the clients you're working with. When was the last time you asked your client about the quality of the leads that were coming in? Hey, our data makes it appear that this is all working and you're getting more traffic and you're getting significantly more leads. How's the quality of those leads, Mr. Client? How are those leads working out for you? That's an important question you should be asking. And another important question is ask your client about sales. Hey, look, you're getting a lot more traffic and you're getting a lot more leads. Are those converting well into actual sales? Because if you're getting more traffic and more leads, but sales aren't increasing, then you're not winning for that client. And if you're not asking that question, you're only looking at traffic and leads, you're going to tell that client that everything's working and everything is great, but that client's not going to be happy because you're not asking the right question. As digital marketers, we're really great at connecting more traffic to more leads, but we rarely connect more leads to more sales. It's really not that hard to ask your client for more data. Your client's not going to be upset if you tell them you need a little bit of extra information every month to make their reports better so that their reports tell a better story with the data that's in their reports. And we need to stop including awful metrics on reports. Like bounce rate. Nobody even really understands how bounce rate works. With bounce rate, Google Analytics basically starts a timer when you land on a page. And that timer is going to keep going until that user does something else that can be tracked by Google Analytics. So if I was to land on a page and spend 5 minutes reading content, and then I watched 2 or 3 videos on the page, and then I looked at some photos on the page. So I'm on the page for a cumulative 10 minutes. And then I pick up the phone and dial a phone number and call that business. If that phone number is not a tracking number that's going to fire something off to Google Analytics has no idea that I converted, and then I leave the site. So Google Analytics would actually say that's a bounce with 0 time on site, even though I spent 10 minutes on the page and made a phone call to purchase. So bounce rate is a very misunderstood metric. A lot of people think that high bounce rate is bad. You might actually want a high bounce rate because that means that people are landing on the page that answers the question for the problem that they have, and they're calling and converting immediately. And that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. In fact, bounce rate is such a crappy metric. It doesn't exist in Google Analytics 4, which we're all going to be forced to switch over to next year. Time on site, equally flawed metric, again, because of that timer issue. The last page that someone is on a site never gets counted as having any time. And again, maybe you don't want a super high time on site because it means they're spending more time for what they're looking for. If it's a short time on site, maybe they found what they wanted very quickly and your conversions increased. Pages per visit, same kind of flawed metric. Percent of new visitors, same kind of flawed metric. If you've got a more expensive item that requires more research before purchase, you want more return visitors because that means people are coming back to do more research on your site. Or number of links added. Okay, that is a deliverable. That's something, hey, we did this for you. That doesn't belong on a report. That doesn't tie in to a client's bottom line. Or just a list of everything that you did last month. If the client wants a list of deliverables, cool, give them a list of deliverables. But don't make that the default in your SEO reports because the tasks that you did are not something that a client cares about on a report that's telling them if they're getting ROI from the money that they're spending. And please, for the love of God, please do not share ranking data as a client report. Rankings do not tie into the bottom line. Clients do not hire you to do SEO to get them to rank. We care about rankings. Clients typically will too. But clients are going to care about a handful of vanity terms, and that's all they're going to concentrate on. So even if you increase their traffic and increase their leads and increase their sales, and it may be the best month that the company has ever had, that client could still potentially think things aren't working because they don't rank number 1 for the keyword that they care most about. And I could get anybody ranked for 100 phrases number 1 in Google by tomorrow. But that doesn't mean that traffic's going to go up because they'd be 100 phrases that no human being would ever search for. So who cares if that client ranks number 1 or not? So don't include rankings on your monthly reports. And yes, that means the cool GeoGrid ranking stuff. as well. Local SEO has seen the rise of these ranking grids that show how a client ranks in a particular geographic area in the map pack. It's cool for us to track, and it's cool when you see it blossom from a lot of red or a lot of yellow into a lot of green. But again, that doesn't really tell the client that anything is better than it was before because we're not looking at traffic. So we need to stop delivering bad reports. Stop delivering reports that are basically just screen captures of Google Analytics. Stop delivering reports that have no story and no context and no insight into the data. Stop delivering reports that don't justify that client's marketing dollar spend on your agency. And stop delivering reports that show nothing but ranking data. That doesn't tie into the bottom line. It doesn't help with performance. Please don't deliver a report that just shows a number in a bubble. If there's no timeline, even if it shows month over month difference or year over year difference, that doesn't mean anything isolated in a bubble. You need to see the timeline to see the trend of traffic over time. And please don't be building your reports manually. There are plenty of solutions out there to help you automate your report and save time. Platforms like Data Studio are awesome. Data Studio is free. It's much more time efficient to automate your reports. Even if you're only saving 30 minutes per report, which is actually pretty generous considering most people that are building their reports manually are spending significantly more time than that. But let's say that 30 minutes per client is what you're saving with Data Studio. That saves you 6 hours a year per client. If you're billing at the industry average of $150 an hour in the US, that's a saving of almost $1,000 a year per client across all the clients that you have. That's significant savings. So start at a point of customization or start at a point of automation and then add the customization in per client. And then once you've customized it that first time for the client, it can just run automated after that. Make sure you're labeling report elements with questions and not SEO jargon because clients don't understand SEO jargon. When you deliver a report that says sessions, users, goals, that doesn't mean anything. Why not deliver a report like this that says instead of sessions, it says how many times did people visit? Or instead of sessions or traffic, how is your organic traffic trending over time? Or instead of devices, it's how did people view your site? Or referrals, how did people get to your site? It makes much more sense and tells a better story when you label each of the elements in your report with a question. We like to make the first page of the report what we call our owner tear sheet. So it's that one page that has all of the top line information about organic traffic and leads so that that client can tell at a glance, is this working or not? We only include the most important metrics and the goals for that particular client. We want to make sure we're not displaying only a number. Even if we include month over month and year over year, there's no way to see overall trends. So even if it looks like this, where it shows you sessions and you're up 14% from last month and up 77% over last year, that doesn't mean anything. That percentage is so hard for most people to calculate. You're much better off showing a time span where you can see a year of what has happened with that particular metric, whether it's leads or traffic or phone calls or whatever it might be. It's easier to understand than an isolated number. And you can tell an even better story with those charts if you include baselines. So notice here, we've got the one baseline on the bottom labeled with light blue that says pre-SearchLab average 258. So what we do, in this case, we're looking at organic traffic. What we do for a client, when that client starts with us, we average the last year of organic traffic. So let's say a client starts with us on July 1st. We would take July 1st of last year through the end of June this year, average that number together, throw it on there as a baseline so they can see here's where they started. And then you can see there in 2020, they were already almost 10 times higher than they were before they started with SearchLab, and they were at 2,100. But then now they're up to the 4,000s, almost 5,000s this year. You don't see as much of a trend if you're just looking at the last year, showing that you were at a low point of 2,500 last September, and now you're up to 4,900 in July. Of course, this is older data, but you understand the point. that only shows an increase of maybe 2,000. But when you have that pre-agency baseline on there, or last year baseline on there, you can see the continued improvement beyond just the 12-month window. You can tell an even better story if you customize the report to address those specific problems you're solving for the client, or the things that clients want to see added into the reports. We've got some clients that want to see their call tracking data in their reports. Cool, we can put that in. You want to put email marketing data in your report, even though that's a different vendor? Sure, send us the numbers, we'll put it in your report so it's a more comprehensive digital marketing report. Whatever you need. If the client is a local business, we want to make sure that we're including insights data from their Google business profile. Discovery impressions are a really great thing to look at because it shows that there is increased visibility, because the discovery impressions is how often the business profile shows up when potential customers are not looking for the business by name. So those discovery impressions show increased visibility as your SEO efforts play out without showing specific ranking data. So it's really cool because you can show, hey, look, you're showing up more often in searches without digging into your ranking higher for particular keyword phrases. It's also important to highlight the actions that were taken so that we can see that as we do better with SEO and get increased visibility, that means more clicks to the website, more phone call clicks, and more direction clicks. Make sure you include UTM tracking data on your link in your Google business profile so that it is correctly attributed in analytics, because a lot of clicks on mobile will be attributed as direct because it won't pass that referral information. So include UTM tracking, and then you can highlight in your reports the difference in clicks between regular Google organic clicks and clicks that happened on that website link in the Google business profile that typically will happen if the Google business profile is shown to the right, or if that business is showing up in the map pack or maps. And don't be afraid to filter out data that might confuse clients or that clients have specifically asked not to see. One of our clients has a blog post that generates typically 20 to 25,000 visits a month. But about 15,000 of those visits come from people outside of the United States. But that still means there's about 5,000 visitors a month that come to this client's website that are local and that are potential clients. So why not filter out all the international traffic? If we don't want to, quote unquote, screw up our tracking of potential customers, and we know that we're getting 15,000 a month on this particular blog post that would never buy from this client, filter it out. Only show the traffic that matters. Even better, piggybacking off of that idea, potentially you may want to have local clients that you filter out every traffic visit. I can't speak English, sorry. That's not local. So instead of showing everything from all across the country that hits their site, lock it down to only display traffic from their state or only display traffic from their immediate metro area if it's a very tight service radius of customers that they're going to deal with. If you've got multi-location clients, you're going to need to build a roll-up report and then include breakdown per location, because they're going to want to see how organic traffic is going up overall. But if you're filtering traffic to a local level, you're going to need to break it down and show multiple views per location and GMB or GBP information per location. So if you'd like an example of what I think is a pretty awesome SEO report, I am sharing with you the template that we use here at SearchLab. So you can download this Data Studio template. So go to bit.ly/searchlab-ds-template and make a copy. And then you can go in and update it yourself. Now, I built this specifically to pull data from a Google Sheet so that you can see that you don't have to have a Data Studio connector to be able to put data into a report. So you're also going to need a copy of this Google Sheet. So this is at bit.ly/searchlab-ds-sheet. Now, in the SearchLab report, all of the reputation management information, so Google reviews, Yelp reviews, and Facebook reviews are pulled from this sheet and not from a reputation management or review connector. So grab those and you can figure out kind of a starting point to create really awesome reports for your clients. If we deliver better reports that tell a better story, will have happier clients. And if you've got happy clients, those happy clients stick around for a longer period of time, which means you're winning. Thanks for taking that crazy roller coaster ride with me today. I know that a lot of times when we're talking about reporting and dealing with clients, it makes us a basket case because we're not sure what to display, and sometimes clients don't like the reports. Hopefully now I have opened your eyes to the possibilities of what you can do with amazing reports, and I've given you the key to success when it comes to client reportings. So now your reports will have the hook that will keep clients interested and engaged, and you'll be able to break out and do better reporting for your clients. And now all your clients will be happy. So that was Freddy Krueger's Guide to Scary Good Reporting. There's my email address. If you have any questions, you can always shoot me an email and I will always answer them. If you'd like a copy of the slides, I'd be happy to send them to you as well. And as always, at the end, there is a list of all the movies by order of release date. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for sticking around to watch the whole thing. That's definitely all the time we've got left for today's episode, so you know what that means. Put your hand on the screen right here. We totally just high-fived because you learned something awesome. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week for another episode of Local Search Tuesdays.